Okay, mentors, for today's lesson, we have 3 parts. Goal 1 is to recognize and express various human emotions. Questions that you will ask your buddies are, when do you feel these emotions? And what happens to make you feel this way? So we are playing a game where I have 9 emotion cards. I have silly, happy, scared, sad, angry, focused, surprised, confident, concerned. Concerned may be the difficult one where you have to talk about synonyms such as worried or nervous. So you guys will set these cards out on the table and they will have post-it notes covering the adjective. They do have facial expressions on the back of students acting these out. I tried to get a male and a female to show emotions for each one. Some are better than others, but this is kind of a difficult concept to show emotion with your facial expression and body language. The goal of this game is to spread them out. You may have to kind of have them facing both directions because this will be an entire team effort. But each person will choose a card, so each person can just randomly select one, slide it over to you. If you just pick it up, you're going to show the back of it to the person behind you or across from you, which you don't want because you're going to try to act this out without them knowing what it is. So I would slide it in my lap and you have a buddy pair to work together. So this one is sad. I will look at the facial expression and try to act out sad. Then your goal is to try to get the opposite pair of your table, imagine there was someone there, to guess what your emotion is. So you would show that facial expression. Now, why are we doing this? We are doing this to help our buddies understand the various emotions that we can experience as humans and what that looks like with our body language, with our facial expression. This is a concept that is difficult for some of our buddies. So through this assignment, we're just playing this little game. It'll take about 10 minutes and there are 9 cards, so some of you will go twice. Also, whenever you act out, say sadness, then as a group talk about what makes you feel sad. Or when do you feel sad? How do you know if someone is sad? Ask those questions, briefly go around the table. You may give examples yourself if you notice your buddies are getting stuck, but really try to guide the conversation. Goal 2. Now we are making associations between those emotions we just talked about and colors that express those emotions. Questions that you can ask are, what color do you think represents the emotion? And then fill in the blank with the word. So you've already done this game. So then take sadness. And as a group ask, what color on your color wheel do you think shows sadness? And each person may have a different idea for this. There's no right or wrong answer. It's really based on personal preference, personal experiences, cultural norms. So you can express your own and the peers, your buddies may mimic exactly what you do, but really try to get them to think for themselves. So then find sad. Your buddies will have these little papers that have an emoji attached to it. Yours will just have the word. So it's differentiated. So find sad. If you need to look back at what sadness looks like, you can do that. Then with a glue stick, help them find whichever color they associate with sad, and we're going to glue that down on our color wheel. Hopefully this doesn't take too long because the bigger part of the lesson is coming up after this. So have them glue each one of these. There are only 9 emotions and there are 12 colors. So they can overlap. They can have a couple of colors or a couple of emotions for each color. But just try to really guide them to stay focused on getting that put in. This should take about 10 minutes as well. Our final goal is to talk about how do artists express emotions which in art we call a mood, through a portrait using the See, Think, Wonder critique. This will take about 20 minutes, I hope, and we'll practice this with a different work of art before this. We'll look at the work of art by Kehinde Wiley to start with. So you have all 9 of these, but we're all going to pull out this one to start with and look at it and talk about just what you see in the painting. Only the facts, not what we think is happening. So the objects, what objects do you recognize? What colors? Are they bright or dark, warm or cool? Types of lines, what directions? Are they thick or thin? Any shapes that we recognize? And I will also have this slide that gives a visual cue for all the students. So you can guide the buddies at your table through talking about this. If they're struggling, you and your peer mentor work together to talk about it as well. The next one is think. So what do you think is happening in this work of art? How do you think this person feels? We've talked about the emotions. We have all of these emotion cards here, so we can go through these and try to figure out which one of these emotions, sad, silly, focused, concerned, surprised, confident, angry, scared, happy, what would we say that this person is showing with his body language and facial expression? I feel like confident, so I would put confident beside this and talk about, how do you know that he looks confident? What about this expression, what about his body language makes you think that he feels confident? If they choose something like angry or scared, something that goes blatantly against that, instead of saying, I don't think that's right, just say, well, what makes you think that? And then try to guide them into a more socially appropriate expression of what this mood and expression looks like. Inferences. What do you think happened to this person just before this portrait was made? You're going to have to think through these as well. Or what do you think the person is thinking about? So these are kind of more difficult, higher level questions, but do your best to try to go through those as well. We will start with Kehinde Wiley, and then you guys will go on your own to go through the rest of these. Then the third part is the wonder. What do you wonder about this painting? What is interesting? What is confusing? What would you ask the artist? What connections can you make to this painting? What colors and facial expressions would you use in a self-portrait? This is leading us into creating our own portrait where we will make a posture with our body language, with our facial expression. I will take the picture, I will turn it into a coloring page, if I can find the right app to do that. And then you guys are going to create your own self-portrait, and you'll make the background using whatever materials you want. But if we've already put the expressions with the color wheel, and we talked about what all these expressions mean, then we connect our expressions to each of these, and we go through this. We may not get through all of these. This may be a 2-day deal, but this will really help guide students in understanding how an artist can convey or communicate a mood through a portrait. Thanks, guys.